Now I'll tell you, I love Alien so much. It is my favorite movie franchise of all time. Then there's this game, Alien Isolation. I swear I've played this game so many times, I think even once a year, and it really never gets old. The game is an absolute masterclass in atmosphere. My favorite thing in all of video games is atmosphere. My favorite movie series is Alien, and survival horror is my favorite game genre. It's like this game was made for me. Developed by Creative Assembly, who really only made strategy games before this, when adapting Alien, the things that you absolutely need to get right is 1, the atmosphere, and 2, the alien. And this game nails both. Isolation captures the 70s lo-fi retro-futuristic aesthetic established in the first Alien. All the technology feels tactile, and the way you traverse the environment is very physical, from climbing ladders to crawling through vents, making everything feel very real and lived in. The VHS aesthetic is also really well done, and the devs went all out to make everything as authentic as possible. This is some of the best lighting ever, mostly because it's completely dynamic and stylistic. Other effects like fog, particles, as well as sound effects, and an authentic soundtrack work together to provide one of the most immersive experiences you can have in a video game. Then there's the alien, whose design is pretty perfect for the most part. The only real critique I have is that it's a bit too gray colored as opposed to black, and that it's too dry looking. The alien is supposed to be very moist. Just saying. I love how it walks and runs on its hind legs. And there's a plethora of unique animations and death screens that keep things fresh. Enough has been said about the Alien AI and how it seemingly adapts to player actions and can utilize the environment to take advantage of the player. It was very important for Creative Assembly to make the alien not feel scripted, and that every encounter feels different. Although I'll play devil's advocate and say that due to the nature of the AI system, where there's one AI that knows where you are at all times, periodically giving hints to the alien AI, it does create a repetitive pattern where the alien will drop in your general area, and then after a few minutes it goes away and then later comes back, and on and on and on. It's really insane that the game was going to be in third person originally, meaning it wouldn't have reached its full potential in terms of being fully immersive. Now the presentation isn't entirely perfect though. There are some strange bugs and glitches throughout. The cutscenes are pretty janky, and there is some weird audio desync during some in-game moments. While some people would call this a hide-and-seek horror game, I'd say this falls into the survival horror category. There are weapons, of course, and other items you can craft to help you survive. This involves resource gathering and being strategic in terms of knowing when to use what item and where. I will say a bit of a problem this game has is that on hard difficulties and below, you are given way too many resources, and while there are a variety of items for you to craft, you are never really put in a position most of the time where you actually need to use them. Some encounters where you might consider using your gadgets, you won't be able to because it'll just attract the alien and you'll die. This makes stealth overall the best option, and you'll just have max stock of items that you'll never use. Of course, I like to play on Nightmare difficulty, where resources are actually extremely limited. Human encounters are overall the most clunky ones, and the AI is pretty terrible there. You'll be able to use your wrench to bash them in, as well as your flashbang and smoke bombs to get around them, or to close in and kill them. And of course, any of your weapons will do the trick, though I wouldn't waste any ammo on them. Then there's the androids, who are really creepy, both in their design and their voices. They are extremely resilient. The basic ones you can take down with your revolver, with headshots, though the amount required varies. The shotgun is fairly effective. Then there's the bolt gun, which is max effective on androids, one-shotting all of them. Fire will work as well. Then there's the hazmat androids, which are not as susceptible to anything I just mentioned except for the bolt gun and the shotgun. When it comes to the alien, only fire will work to fend it off, but it will build a resistance to it, or at least seemingly so. Shotguns and flashbangs can stun the alien, but only for like 2 seconds. But this can come in clutch in some rare circumstances. Then overall, flares, smoke bombs, and noisemakers can be utilized to distract the enemy so that you can get around. Making any noises can be used to bring the alien into a human encounter to get rid of them. So it's a risk-reward thing of choosing which you'd rather deal with. There's also these panels you can access to affect the environment, but these feel super undercooked, and I've never found them to make any sort of a difference in any given situation, other than disabling cameras or allowing door or vent access. The story takes place 15 years after the events of the original Alien film, and follows Amanda Ripley, daughter of film series protagonist Ellen Ripley, as she searches for signs of her missing mother. This takes her to Sevastopol Station, where things are falling apart. She encounters a number of hostiles, including the titular alien. She uncovers the story of what happened while looking for an escape. The cinematics are few and far between, and overall the story and characters could use a lot more depth and personality to fully work. Ripley is of course the standout here, following in suit with her mother, as she is assertive and no-nonsense, with some charming lines here and there. The side characters are more or less interesting, but leave a lot to be desired. The messages and audio logs you find on the Sevastopol offer a Bioshock-esque backstory that you can piece together from different fragments spread throughout the game. Alien Isolation is highly regarded as one of the scariest games ever made, and has a big cult following with a huge outcry for a sequel ever since its release. Thankfully, last year, shortly after the release of Alien Romulus, Creative Assembly announced that they have started development on a sequel, which was the best news I'd ever heard. However, it will take quite a few years, presumably, before we see that game, because game development takes quite a long time, especially nowadays. When the game originally released back in October of 2014, it was not so positively received. Complaints about the gameplay feeling clunky and how long the game ran were parroted around among reviewers, along with the infamous point about the alien being too difficult. Some of these issues, especially the jankiness, I think are valid. However, when it comes to the length of the game, I'm so happy that it's as long as it is, because that means there's a lot of game to play, and I can't get enough of being in this world. And of course, since it's taking forever to get to a sequel, it's nice that there's as much content here as there is, DLC included. A lot of this criticism has gone away with time, and it is reminiscent to the reception of The Evil Within, which also released October of 2014. That game also received strange criticism, but has since faded to reveal a more appreciative reception. Alien Isolation is now heralded as an icon in the horror genre, and one of the scariest games of all time, along as an ahead-of-its-time masterpiece of sci-fi atmosphere. Let's take an in-depth look. You know what? Screw it. Let's take a different approach, and start with the DLC first, since they come chronologically before the main campaign. Nobody ever plays or talks about the DLCs, so let's spice things up here. We begin with the Crew Expendable DLC. We're here on the Nostromo. This is so hype. We got the whole crew here. Well, minus Kane and Brett, cause, you know, they're dead. A lot of the original cast members also came back. Sigourney Weaver, Tom Skerritt, Yaphet Kotto, Veronica Cartwright, and Harry Dean Stanton. The only ones not to return were John Hurt and Ian Holm. I'm telling you, if Ian Holm didn't want to do a simple voiceover for a video game, what makes you think he would want to have his CGI face plastered into a film? Just saying. Anyways, there's a really good impersonator of him doing the voice of Ash, and I couldn't even tell them apart, honestly.
I admire its purity. A survivor. Unclouded by conscience, remorse, or delusions of morality.
Everyone else sounds noticeably older, but then there's Sigourney Weaver, who literally sounds the exact same.
There's something loose on the ship. This unknown organism.
We can choose to play as Ripley, Dallas, or Parker. It makes sense we can't play as Lambert since she's not the type to volunteer or take action. And as for Ash, she doesn't exactly want to destroy the alien, as we know. I chose to play as Parker since this whole sequence showcased in this DLC was in the original script for the film, and they shot one part of it and it's clear that Parker actually was the one to try and trap the alien in the airlock. It is awesome to get to explore the Nostromo and get a look at these character models. You got Lambert here stressing the fuck out, and then Ripley and Dallas aura farming. Then you got Ash just creeping around the med bay. After picking up our equipment, we get sent down into the lower decks where things get really scary. Things are dark and intense down here. These Nostromo DLCs are the closest this game gets to fulfilling the close quarters encounters in the dark that is shown a lot in the trailers. In the main campaign, everything is mostly well lit. Things are definitely close quarters here though. Not a whole lot of places to hide, and the alien is rampant, rarely going into the vents.
I can connect to the airlock systems from my terminal.
really just gotta outwalk the alien, because if you slowly crawl around for long, you might not ever be able to gain the distance again. We closed off some vent systems or something in order to lead the alien in the direction of the airlock. To do this, we take it through this vent system, which is so cool.
We're in position. I'm just trying to get a reading here. All right, I got a reading on you now. Hold on a second. I think I got it. Yes, it's in there with you.
Here.
Right around there. You're gonna have to be careful.
I got so hyped when playing this for the first time. This is straight out of the film, with Lambert talking to you, telling you where to go. This is so intense, the alien in the vents with you. I wish the main game had more segments like this. These kind of close encounters, high intensity, high stakes moments.
Go left. Go right. Go right.
We finally make it to the airlock area, and we just gotta wait for the alien to go in there. This is actually quite difficult, and you just have to get lucky and for the alien to stay there long enough for you to sneak behind it and blow it out of the airlock.
Something strange happening here.
Unfortunately, when we do this, the airlock doesn't work, and then you get knocked on your ass by the alien, and it escapes into the Nostromo. And then there's Ash just being like, oh well, even though he was definitely the one who ruined the procedure. I believe this is also confirmed in the novelization for the movie. The DLC ends with the voice actor for Ash getting to do all of the iconic lines from the film.
You still don't understand what you're dealing with, do you? Perfect organism.
This is a pretty eerie way to end it, and this is a cool way to do it, and it feels appropriate to do something like this here, some bonus DLC of a game that's meant to be a treat for Alien fans. Imagine if they did something like this in a movie, where they just had some version of Ash do all the lines from the original film in some nostalgia bait attempt. That would be pretty stupid, huh?
Last word. I can't lie to you about your chances, but you have my sympathies.
This takes us to the Last Survivor DLC, which puts us straight in the shoes of Ripley, taking place directly from the film in the kind of last act before Parker and Lambert's death, which we do witness at the start of the DLC.
We're gonna blow up the ship. We'll take our chances in the shuttle.
Good.
We're gonna need coolant for the air support system. Parker! I powered up the shuttle. Have you got those coolant tanks ready?
We're doing it. You want to give us a hand down here?
We get to see the Narcosis, the shuttle of the Nostromo, and somehow this DLC is even more intense.
Oh my god. Get out of the way! Get out of the way! Lambert is gonna kill us! Lambert, for Christ's sake, get out of the way! Get out of the way, Lambert!
Parker? Lambert?
We come across Parker and Lambert's bodies, and one difference being that Lambert has pants and shoes on, whereas in the film those were mysteriously taken off. We just gotta make our way through the bowels of the Nostromo. I love how dark this atmosphere on the ship is. This is much more straightforward of a mission here, where we're just trying to go through and get to the self-destruct sequence. Look at how cool some of these rooms are. It's really sick to see these film locations here in video game form to be fully immersed in. All the audio logs are really cool to listen to as well.
Lois, have you approved my request yet? I haven't seen any movement on it. If we can send out work logs via Sevastopol's relay, surely we can send out a couple of personal messages too. Take the cost out of my salary. I just want to let my daughter know that I will be home late. It's important. Ripley out.
The self-destruct sequence is straight out of the film, very cool to see, and then in absolute intense fashion we have to go all the way back to the shuttle with the alarm, the voice of Mother counting down, the steam and everything. It's so intense.
The emergency destruct system is now activated. The ship will detonate in T-minus 5 minutes.
Okay, I can do this.
We have Ripley here singing Lucky Star, which is a great detail, as she does this in the latter part of the film. And it makes sense for her to sing a song like this since she has a daughter. This is absolute cinema. When you make our way to the shuttle, another noticeable difference is the fact that Jones the cat just doesn't exist in this timeline for some reason. We also get to see the alien on the tracker kind of go into the shuttle, which is a cool detail.
Final report of the commercial starship Nostromo. Third officer reporting.
Then we get this cool visual where we see the ship leaving communications range of something. I don't know if this is some sort of company beacon, or maybe this is the Sevastopol, since we know it's around in this region. But it's just really tragic to see the shuttle moving out of that range, just hurtling into deep space, not to be found for a long, long time. And just a little hint at the end of her talking to Amanda is very sad indeed.
I'll see you soon, Amanda. Be a good girl. I love you.
Now we're talking survivor mode, which has a lot of different scenarios. We get different characters for some added context to the main campaign, as this takes place before Amanda gets to the station. With each scenario, you get to pick from a list of characters that all have their own unique weapons and equipment, which make for slightly different scenarios on each playthrough. Each level you have a primary objective that you have to get, and some optional side objectives as well that add up your point score at the end. There are also several bonuses that you can get along the way that also help you increase your score. Now, the alien AI is notoriously difficult on the recommended difficulty hard on the main campaign. That takes the alien to about a 10 in terms of difficulty. Then nightmare mode takes it up to 11. With survivor mode, the alien AI is taken up to 20. I don't know why, but for some reason in survivor mode, the alien is just at another level. It's built different now. This thing will just not let up. To sort of counteract this, you do get a lot more resources here than you would in, say, a nightmare mode. But at the same time, playing as these certain characters, they all have limitations. And some of them are just straight up not equipped to handle an alien. In each level, you start off in a safe room where you collect a base regimen of supplies. This is a preparation phase, and then once you hit the button, it's all game for you to die. The first little mission here is of Amanda, but she only gets 1 level, which is interesting because the other characters get 3. That makes me think that this is some sort of cut level from the main campaign. So you know what, I'm going to talk about this level in the main campaign where I think it would take place, just to make things interesting. The other characters are all characters we hear about on the Sevastopol station in the main campaign. First up, we have Ransom, who is this greedy businessman at Seegson, the company that owns Sevastopol. He's a pretty slimy guy, as we learn, but he also got screwed over by the company when the whole transaction went down between Seegson and Weyland-Yutani. Ransom is pissed, so he's gonna try and make this whole station fall apart before Weyland-Yutani can get anything from it. This first mission, we start off at Ransom's apartment, which is a cool location, and I love how varied these environments are, and unique from stuff that you see in the main campaign. I mean, just this apartment here is like the only time you get to see a carpet or a bed in the entire game. And a really cool detail here is that in the main campaign, one of the audio logs we find is Ransom complaining about an android busting into his apartment and him having to kill it.
This is Seegson Executive Ransom speaking. I just woke up to find a working Joe in my suite, and when I asked what the hell it was doing, it lunched for me. I had to leave my own fucking apartment. Send your best technicians to Apollo Core and find out what the hell is going on. Now, get those things under control. I want a full report ASAP.
And we actually see the body of that android here. So the main objective is to disable a security lockdown so that Ransom can go out and do whatever he wants here on the station. We come across this theater room, which is very cool looking. Imagine just chilling here, sitting on one of these couches, having an amazing view of space and the station. Reminds me a lot of BioShock, just wondering what the city looked like in its prime before everything was abandoned. In the next level, Ransom is trying to save his name by extracting some files from Lingard, another important character in the lore. She's a medical officer who witnessed firsthand the birth of the alien, and who Ransom would try to blackmail.
And Ransom, Seegson's head of operations, he made certain threats for my career and my certification. I want that on record.
Some of these side objectives that you can do are really interesting. Here we have a little redemption here, where Ransom can save this civilian. We get the files and then get out of there. In the last Ransom level, he just messes a bunch of stuff up, but we come across some androids. I like this little detail here where there's a weapons checkpoint. I assume if you just go through it normally, it activates some sort of alarm, but you can go under via the vents. The next subset of missions is with Lingard, who is leaving her camp to go back to the medical ward to destroy her research. The alien is out of control in this segment, so aggressive and on your ass. I like how you can kind of tell that we're in some pediatrics ward, as in the opening we have a little toy robot here.
Shall we sing a song? Shall we draw a picture?
And then later we can stumble into this cool nursery room. Look at these lights. I love how even though these are just some DLC missions, they didn't hold back on bringing in some cool and unique atmosphere to the whole thing. After that level, we have this insane one where we're in a crawl space. Lingard is trying to bring back medical supplies to the camp, and she encounters a whole bunch of facehuggers. We have to fight like 20 something of them. And it's always scary when we hear one of them squeal and we just don't know where it's gonna come from. And to cap it all off, we have this intense segment where we're going through this gas with androids. The final mission sees Lingard returning to camp only to find that it's been overrun by androids. Androids are the toughest enemies to go up against because you never really have the amount of resources needed to take them on fully. Whereas with the alien, you at least always have some flamethrower if you go around, and even if you're not playing a character who has a flamethrower, they sometimes put a flamethrower around the map. But here we get lucky enough to run around them towards the goal. Next up, we have some pretty unique levels here with Hughes and then Axel in the Safe Haven and Lost Contact levels. These are kind of rogue-like levels here, where we get to choose what mission we get to go on. We get an option between two missions that take place in two different areas, and we gauge what we want to do based on the rewards we get given. After completing the mission, we get rewarded with said items, as well as points that we can use to save the game. There are 10 stages in total, all with unique missions, and it will take a very long time to get through them all, so saving is very recommended for this. It's cool getting to see more of the station as well. I love the safe room that Hughes' level has. These safe rooms act as a hub area, and I believe the main game was also meant to be structured similarly to this, where the Marshal Bureau was meant to be a hub area, and then you would go out on different missions. Hughes' levels take him through an apartment complex, as well as a laboratory area and Gemini. Axel's levels take him through a medical ward, as well as a really dark and intense engineering area, which has a really cool generator room if you can make it all the way to that level. These levels are the highlights of Survivor mode. They are very difficult, but of course offer a lot of replayability. The final subset is of Ricardo, a member of the Colonial Marshals, who is one of our best allies in the main campaign. His levels take us through a kind of prisoner detention area, which is unique from anything that we see in the main game as well. There's this one very insane segment where not only the alien is after us, but right at the end a bunch of androids just awaken and mob us right next to the final elevator.
Please, calm down.
The final level has us place explosives to try and trap and kill the alien. This ties to the beginning of the main campaign, as it ends with the message of the Taurans trying to contact Sevastopol, tying everything together.
Torrens! What the hell just happened? Sevastopol! Did any of our AV-8s...
So yeah, that's survivor mode. It's pretty cool that it has some interesting context with these different characters that we learn about in the campaign, and it also offers up some unique environments as well, and a whole slew of unique encounters that keeps things fresh. And you can go about this in different ways. I kind of just rushed through it because the alien AI is at another level here, but you can really take your time here with these levels, collect resources, build your arsenal, tackle these side objectives as well, and try all the different characters that are available to play. Alright, now onto the main campaign. We begin with an insane opening credits sequence, in which we get the classic Alien slow reveal of the title card, with a voiceover by Sigourney Weaver, recounting the final monologue at the end of Alien. This seems to be a re-recording too, it sounds like it to me, and damn, she sounds the exact same. This opening gives me chills every time. The VHS aesthetic is really cool as well.
I should reach the frontier in about 6 weeks. With a little luck, the network will pick me up. This is Ripley. Last survivor of the Nostromo. Signing off.
Next, we're given a cutscene and get introduced to Amanda Ripley as she's working and then gets approached by Samuels, an android who works for the company Weyland-Yutani. I like the way they handle Samuels, as they don't come out and say up front that he's a synthetic. You just have to come to that conclusion yourself. And any big fan of Alien will notice it immediately with his voice and his demeanor. He tells Ripley that they have found the flight recorder unit of the Nostromo, the ship her mother was on. It's been taken to Sevastopol Station, so he offers her a place aboard the ship, the Torrens, in order to go and recover it.
I've been cleared to offer you a place on the Torrens if you want to come along. Maybe there'll be some closure for you.
I love the transition here with the heartbeat and the sound kind of leading us into the stasis and the awakening here on the Torrens. And man, right from the get-go, we are exactly replicating the atmosphere here from the original film. It looks incredible, the lighting, the way the lights come to life as we step into the hallway is so cool. We meet up with Taylor and she's having a rough go at it, not being accustomed to the space travel. She's a lawyer for Weyland-Yutani, hoping to close the Nostromo case.
I'm sorry, that was insensitive. I realize your mother has been missing for 15 years and you...
It's okay. We'll both get what we want, right?
You should probably get changed before Verlaine calls us.
You also check in with Samuels, who mentions that he doesn't need as much sleep as the rest of them. That's probably the biggest clue you get that he's an android. Very casually thrown out there as well.
You should probably get changed, Ripley. Verlaine will be calling us soon.
Ripley does eventually put on her clothes. We get called up to the brig and we meet up with Verlaine, the captain of the ship, who debriefs us on the Torrens. Just that cold and isolated view of space that we're traveling through. It's very eerie and beautiful. We eventually approach Sevastopol Station and we get some pretty messy comms, and we can't exactly dock anywhere because the station seems pretty damaged. So we opt for a spacewalk and we put on these really cool spacesuits.
Just shadow me, Taylor. You too, Samuels.
Affirmative.
But then things go wrong as an explosion occurs.
Just keep moving!
Taylor, Ripley, hold on!
Samuels, Taylor, and Ripley get separated from each other. Luckily, Ripley is able to find a way inside. This whole sequence is pretty intense, both with the general idea of floating in space forever and the realistic sound of being in space. Entering the station and taking off our spacesuit, we are met with the cold and ghostly atmosphere. Everything seems abandoned and the whole place is just falling apart at the seams. This is just so impressive. The game really takes its time to establish the atmosphere and really flex the lighting system and all of these atmospheric details. We eventually make our way to the space flight terminal area, and it's quite eerie to see such a big place that looks like it should be filled with people, just completely dark and empty. The doors are braced down, and we find a maintenance jack that helps us unlock them. This is where we get held up by Axel, one of our boys from the Survivor missions. He starts off pretty aggressive, but Ripley is able to calm him down and offer him a place on the Torrens. We have this uneasy alliance going, and we run into some other people just trying to survive on their own. It's cool that there's a lot of different groups of people that are doing their own thing. A lot of other horror games opt for the area to just be completely empty and everyone just being dead or whatever. But here we establish that there are some people in the environment. Some hostile, some friendly, and some who are just doing their own thing and won't bother you. I really like that. That's cool.
Let's go, okay?
I'm sorry. Good luck.
What the hell was that about? Why are you so damn aggressive?
Everyone's running shit scared, keeping to their own. Safer that way.
We crawl through some vents, and there's a lot of crawling through vents and stuff, but I really like this. It feels tactile. It reminds me a lot of the Callisto Protocol. A lot of people hated that game for having a lot of shimmy sections, just going through the walls and stuff, taking its time, nothing really happening, but I really like those bits because, I don't know, it's really immersing you into the environment, and I really like that stuff.
Been hunkered down here for a week now, waiting for a ship. Waiting for you, I guess.
I like this little hidey hole that Axel has. It's very cozy. We also get a flashlight, which is this really cool head-mounted flashlight that needs batteries every once in a while. But the thing is that the game's lighting is just a bit too bright all the time. There's barely any rooms in the game that are dark enough that would require you to use a flashlight. The game is pretty overall brightly lit, and you can almost always see the environment and where you're going. It's really only the vents that you would need to use the flashlight. So it feels like kind of a missed opportunity to have some really dark environments that would also up the scare factor. We run into some hostile people and try to get around them, using the under the floor vents, which are really cool. But they eventually catch up to us and Axel shoots someone. I really like Ripley's reaction here since she hasn't seen anyone die before, so this is quite a shock to her. It tells you that the people here are willing to do whatever it takes to survive. Ripley's reaction is a really good detail, but unfortunately, once Ludo narrative dissonance takes over, you kind of just go on a murder spree whenever you want to as Ripley. So I'm going to include my own little meta-narrative that kind of justifies Ripley's violent nature. Then this happens. Just seeing that hole with the blood around it that high up on the wall is a very freaky visual. And this of course has to traumatize the hell out of Ripley. In the span of just a few moments, she's been blasted away from her ship, her comrades are presumably dead, and she's just witnessed a horrific monstrosity. We have to wait for the transit car to come in, and it's just way too intense because they're really trying to troll us with the sound design. But you can actually summon the alien here if you make too much noise. And this is a rare example of an actual real dark environment that the alien can come into. We get in the transit car and we head to the Systech Spire area. Now this game has some interesting level design, but isn't fully fleshed out because you can go into some of these other transit stations to the other areas, like the engineering area for example. There's really nothing you can do over there. There will be locked areas where you'll need a plasma torch or a leveled up access tuner, and at first glance this is some kind of Metroidvania-esque thing of backtracking, like something like Resident Evil, but unfortunately it's not really worth it to go and backtrack to these areas. Because again, you'll just get supplies, and on Nightmare difficulty, the chances of the boxes being completely empty is high. It's very high. So it's really not worth it to waste time going around these areas. And again, items never really feel all that necessary, because you can always just stealth. Other than items, there are Easter eggs, secrets, and collectibles, but there's no real motivation to get these other than for the achievements or whatever. The Nostromo logs are really cool, especially as a big fan of Alien. But on a regular playthrough, it's never really worth it to deviate from the main route and explore. Anyway, we have by far the worst encounter in the entire game here that feels really forced with these humans, and you kind of have to go a very specific way to get around them. And the AI for the humans is pretty terrible. They can just shoot through walls sometimes, and it's kind of annoying, especially on Nightmare, where bullets will just take you out quick. Ripley is so annoyed and so traumatized by everything that she just murders this guy straight up. And you know what? She enjoys it. Anyways, once we get away, we come across this beautiful sight of this window. Anytime you get a window, it's just really beautiful to just look outside and see the vastness of space. We're trying to get an access tuner so that we can unlock certain areas, but on our way we stumble across the flight recorder. How lucky is that? But also unlucky is that the files are corrupted. Here's a good example of the audio desync that happens sometimes in this game. Like here she reacts before it even pops up that the files are corrupted. No! God! And then here she's calming herself down, but that's before she knocks the thing over. We do find the security access tuner and it's really cool. We do these like puzzle things and it's a really cool visual design that feels very classic. There are blueprints around of certain items that we can craft, and once again I have to praise the atmosphere. It's never dull or boring because there's always some interesting lighting or some interesting decor, like visual details like posters and stuff. Or, you know, dead bodies that are really cool and haunting to see. Unfortunately, coming here has activated some sort of security lockdown, so we go to shut it down, and then we have this encounter with the alien. Our first clear sighting of it. And again, the audio desync is kind of noticeable here, where the jump scare sound happens just a second before the tail comes on screen. Just turning your head and seeing the alien there is just so freaky. Coming back to the area we were in before, we see the alien just go on a rampage, killing everyone. It's very satisfying because those people were just some assholes who were just trying to kill us for no reason. And seeing the alien go on this killing spree changes something in Ripley. It's almost like she can relate to this thing, in a way. Anyways, we use the security tuner to unlock the Seegson communications area, and we are met with some freaky ass androids. Nope, don't like these guys. The Working Joes are meant to be recognizable and are a different direction from the realistic Weyland-Yutani models in order to comfort people, which definitely did not work because these guys are way more freaky and their voices extremely unsettling.
Can I help you?
I need to get into comms control. It's urgent.
That is a restricted area.
It's an emergency! Don't you realize what's going on?
Apollo has the situation in hand. Your registration is almost complete.
Forget it. I'll find my own way in.
For your comfort and reassurance, our Working Joes and medics are designed to be instantly recognizable.
In fact, it's not long before we find out that these guys are actually hostile, as we see one absolutely destroy Hughes, which is kind of a weird inconsistency with survivor mode because in that, Hughes is taking out all kinds of enemies, androids included. So that brings into question the canon of those salvage missions. humans will shoot at you from afar, the alien will horridly run towards you, but the androids just kind of silently walk up towards you, occasionally saying some nonchalant dialogue towards you. We managed to sneak through a bunch in this very intense encounter, and we get into the communications with Samuels. Samuels is alive as well as Taylor, although she was injured during the explosion, and Ripley needs to make her way over to medical to find supplies. Going towards the medical facility, we hear a voice over the intercom who invites us in, and he seems that he's in a pickle of his own. This is Dr. Coleman, who claims that he is injured, but he looks like he's doing just fine, so yeah. He says that there are medical supplies downstairs in the hospital dispensary, but we need a way to access that area. We need to find a key card. It's always some key card or something. I really like the lore here in this medical facility where they were treating patients who were experiencing discomfort from being in space and away from home.
Tragic cases. Far from the rhythms of Earth, sunrise, sunset, the mind has a tendency to wander. Tragic cases. But Morley wasted far too much time on coddling them. They should never have come here. None of us should.
I love these little rooms that are very uncomfortable looking. There has to be some kind of phobia here, this weird pattern on the wall.
You are standing on a hill. Your home is in the valley below. You are far away, but you can see it clearly. Light to dark, night to day. How do you feel?
Little comforting messages that play over the intercom. They're really kind of eerie. The way that the calmness of it just opposes the haunting, abandoned atmosphere that this place has. This is as close as this game gets to an Outlast kind of atmosphere. It would have been kind of cool and interesting if there were some crazy human enemies that were trying to attack us here or something. Anyways, we find the passcode that we need to progress, and then the alien comes in from the ceiling and aura farms before stomping off. This is a great level. There's all types of ways we can go. There are vents in the walls and under the floor that the alien can also access to come after you. The tension of putting in the passcode to open the door, and the alien is right around the area. Very intense. You have to figure out where everything is. You find a list of rooms where the doctor was in to try and find the key card. All while the alien is on your tail. You can hide in lockers, under beds, and here in this encounter I really experimented with a lot of different things here. As you're seeing right now, one of my favorite parts that happened on this playthrough was that I used the locking mechanism of the doors. So this is one of my favorite little mechanics in the game actually, especially to use against the alien. You can lock the door temporarily and there's literally nothing it can do. But look how smart the alien is here. He comes back in because he was trying to set up a trap. Anyways, getting the key card, we return to Coleman, who locked us out, by the way.
God
damn you, Coleman.
I'm going to step into the other room to punch the code in and find the elevator. Then we can use
We finally get out of here when the alien comes in and kills him. We make a quick escape towards the elevator. And we get this cool little segment in this morgue. Get vent access so that we can continue down. Descending further down into the hospital, this area is really cool. Visually, I really like the way it looks, and again, the lights appearing in the hallway as you're going down is so cool. And it's a very limited area, there's not a lot of cover here, so if you run into the alien, you're pretty screwed. Progressing further into the hospital, we run into some humans just going around this area, so we sneak by them. Look at this dude in the wheelchair. Look how fucking amazing this atmosphere is. This is peak. We find the medical supplies right next to the patient that Lingard was talking about. You see the open chest wound and the trail of blood leading out. This is where the alien was born. To get out of this area, we have to go a roundabout way to disable some mechanism, avoid an android, and again, look at that view right there through the windows. And then we have to avoid both the humans and the alien, and this android in this very intense encounter. This whole segment in the medical area has just been ramping up, and all these blaring lights and smoke effects and everything is very reminiscent of the third act of Alien, where Ripley is just running back and forth around the ship. Things are very intense and we just gotta get out of here. But then the alien comes down to confront us before some explosion goes off in the back. We awaken and the whole place is on fire. We gotta get out of here. I really like how physical we are with the environment. Just climbing up here and interacting with everything in a very tactile way to get up to the upper vents. This is one of the few times we even are in the upper vents that the alien uses all the time. We even run into some weird wires and stuff that from a distance looks like it could be the alien just laying there. This definitely seems like it's probably intentional. And that's what's so great about the atmosphere. Everything feels so naturally scary and off-putting. Unfortunately, we can't get all the way back immediately. We have to fix the elevator, and that includes having to sneak around or not sneak around these humans. Unfortunately, the alien is around the area, as you can easily trigger him by making noise. So the stealth approach is probably the best way of doing it. We also unlock this dialogue from the humans that suggests to use the requisitions android in order to fix the elevator. We do so, and again, I really love the changing environment. While the aesthetic is overall very similar, the rooms that you're going in do offer some variation to what we've seen before. We boot up a requisitions android and he shows us the way to get to the part we need to fix the elevator. What's cool is that you can go past this entire encounter without the humans dying. But why would you want to do that? Ripley just wanted to replicate the massacre that the alien performed before. So at this point, she's gone full psycho. We finally loop around to the transit area where Samuels and Taylor are, but we end up meeting a whole batch of colonial marshals, including Waits, who is a character that we've been hearing a lot about. The leader of the Marshals, who are the kind of main security force of Sevastopol. We also meet Ricardo, and what's interesting is, it feels like Ricardo is supposed to have an establishing shot in this cutscene, but the cutscenes in this game are pretty janky, because here, when Waits says, "Relax, kid," it's weird for him to say that to Ripley, when obviously she's well in her right to be a bit jumpy after they pointed their guns at her. But you can actually see that there is a millisecond cut to Ricardo, but then it just cuts away, so clearly I think there was an error in the cutscene, because it's meant to kind of establish Ricardo's character here, but unfortunately the cutscene glitches out. Anyways, the transit system is down, so of course Ripley has to do fucking everything on this station. But this is a cool little bit here. There's context to everything that we do, given that the station is falling apart and a whole lot of systems aren't working. And it also makes sense because Ripley herself is an engineer. It's all very Dead Space, where in that game Isaac also has to run around the ship fixing literally everything. Anyways, we reactivate the transit system, have a little run-in with a human and an android. You can kill the human, you can let the android kill him. I love the dynamicness that happens with a lot of these encounters. Now something that does bug me here is that in this part, Waits is like, "We'll wait for you, Ripley, come to the transit area," but Ripley is like, "No, go ahead," and it literally takes less than 30 seconds for her to run over to the transit area. Like, what the heck? They could have waited. Anyways, that just gives an excuse for another human encounter, but again, Ripley is built different, so she takes them all down.
Hey, what was that? I warned you!
Of course, you don't have to do that, you can stealth it, but that makes it way more intense given how close quarters this all is. But that is also an interesting approach, other than Ripley going sicko mode. This brings us to the Marshal's home base, which is a really cool kind of commercial area of Sevastopol.
Waits has a plan.
A plan?
Was that
Really?
you? Did
His
you get the
fucking plans
transit
haven't
running?
done us much good so far.
Nice work.
We meet up with Wade, and we also see that Taylor is doing okay. Wade tells us that Marlowe is in the cell. He is the captain of the Anesidora who found the flight recorder, as well as the alien. So we go to interrogate him, and then we get an incredible sequence where we get to explore LV-426 as Marlowe in a flashback. The atmosphere here is dense as hell. I love seeing the door open up and the harsh environment take over, the visibility being very low. This is an incredible level for a huge fan of Alien. It's quite a treat, and it's not even a long part, so I don't really get complaints for this one. We come across the derelict spaceship, and this is absolutely incredible. Look at that thing just sitting there. This is such an eerie vibe. This abandoned crashed ship in the middle of an empty, harsh world. It's quite something to see. And then we get to go inside of it. It is incredible. Like, this looks straight out of the movie. Coming into the cockpit area and seeing the engineer is super cool. They find the remnants of the Nostromo's presence, and this actually fixes a plot hole from Aliens. You see, in the first movie, the Nostromo crew was brought here by the beacon that was emitting from the Promethean ship. They never exactly found that beacon, so it was never shut off. So it's weird that that beacon was never brought up in Aliens when Weyland-Yutani set up the whole colony. Here, this fixes that by having the Anesidora crew come in and shut down the beacon.
Don't know what happened, but the beacon stopped broadcasting.
Marlowe, you have got to see this. It's amazing.
On my way.
They then go down further into the bowels of the ship because, of course, that just seems like a great idea. And we are met with the whole nest of eggs, and this is such a cool perspective to see. We actually get to see what's around this area and the huge scale of the ship. The sound design here is incredible. You can actually see into these other different sections, and there's also blue mist over there as well. There could be even more eggs. It's so cool being able to actually play this part. And of course, they go into the blue mist and they stick their face right into the egg because of course they have to, and that's that. Coming back to the present, Marlowe is unwilling to give the codes to bring the Anesidora on auto, as it's currently stationed around the planet and could be very useful to have a ship so that we can get out of here. We speak again with Waits, and he now has a plan with how to deal with the alien. He leads us to a flamethrower, hell yeah, our best friend for the next part of the game. We are tasked with going back to the Systech Spire to meet up with Ricardo to initiate a lockdown procedure. We go back through the area with the potential of meeting the mother of all jump scares with this insane explosion. Which is a cool little optional sequence that can play out.
The creature's here.
You heard the lady. Let's go.
Finally, some actual rational people that are willing to listen to us and not immediately go aggro. So because of that, Ripley spares their lives. We lock down the area, and this takes us to a basement which has very dark lighting and stuff. I wish more stuff in the main campaign has this spooky atmosphere. We have to make it out of this area and head back up the stairs. We have to prime the elevator, and it's really kind of annoying and funny that every time you play this, every time you're on this part, once you get to the home stretch to the elevator, the alien will always take up to the vent that's right in front of the elevator. If you're not careful, you will get scooped up right at the end. This happens to me every time I play this basement level. Heading back up, we finish the lockdown sequence and head towards Ricardo, who set up a whole procedure to finalize the process in the server farm. We've brought the alien with us because it's just been tailing us this entire time. However, during the process, something goes wrong and Ripley is locked in. This is a very tense sequence and it takes quite a while before Ricardo is able to let us out, but this of course lets out the alien.
Out? We had it locked down and you let it out?
So we need another new plan. That Waits immediately hooks up and he sends us over to Gemini Labs, aka the best part of the entire game.
Ripley, Ricardo, we can't let it escape again, no matter what.
Just...
First off, we are greeted by this woman who is just staring out this window, just sitting down, looking into space. She's not an enemy or a friend. She just barely even acknowledges our presence. She just stares out that window. I think about her sometimes. This is going to be the 100th time I've mentioned atmosphere, but the atmosphere in this place is absolutely incredible. It just hits different to the other places in the game. How do you even describe this aesthetic? I don't even know, analog, kind of retro-futuristic style, but specifically this area, it's really this kind of like red color that's in this place, it's really striking. And these vents right here, they're my favorite vents in the entire game. The howling wind noises when you're going through, the fog, it's all incredible, but not so much when the alien can come in after you. This whole segment is really intense, just going back and forth between the two switches. You're gonna have a bunch of encounters with the alien for sure. Finally, we get the system up and going, and these noises are absolutely incredible.
I don't believe I've had the pleasure.
Again, very much reminds me of Dead Space. The best part about that game, the remake specifically, is the audio design. Things get even more intense. As we head through this area, the alien is not giving up, it's still chasing us. We are able to hide, but unfortunately the alien comes in and kills the woman. Rest in peace. She was the only one that Ripley felt connected to, but now the alien took her life. Anyways, we head down to quite a dark area until we go on for a bit, and then the window shutters open, revealing the starlight seeping through the window, and then we get the classic Jerry Goldsmith score from the original Alien. This is such an incredible moment. one of the few moments of comfort in the game, and one of the few moments where the score takes precedence. A lot of the times the music is just in the background as ambience, and it doesn't really let itself take center stage. It's mostly just dead silent with the atmosphere of the environment taking over. I do kind of wish that the music played a bigger role and that there were more moments like this one where the swelling score kind of takes over. You have a few options in this area. You can operate this elevator which takes you back to the Systech Spire. It's interesting because a lot of the time the game is inviting you to go off and explore the other areas of the station. But again, there's never really any good reason to go off and explore. It mostly ends up being a waste of time because it's never really worth it. Again, on Nightmare mode you barely even get supplies as it is. Even if you do find a few things here and there, more than anything, most of the stuff you search will just come up empty. Anyways, there's another passageway where we run into another passenger aboard the station who is just trying to console himself. I like this guy, but at this point, Ripley, when that other NPC died, something in her mind, she just couldn't spare to have any more mercy. So Ripley does this.
I got something in the vents a while back. Stay on your toes.
And as she watches this creature tear the man apart, it unlocks something in her mind. She is fascinated by this creature, and she sees herself in it. They are one in the same, but only one can exist. This meta-narrative that I'm cooking up right now is low-key a little more compelling than anything in the actual story. Not gonna lie. Anyways, we can find the key card in this area, which opens up another room that we can loot some more. There's this little jump scare here where the lights will go out and create a spooky atmosphere, which is cool. I love these little dynamic moments that can happen. Anyways, we finally make it down to the actual lab, and this place is incredibly cool looking. The lighting, the kind of blue light appearing through the windows, and just all sorts of lights everywhere. It's very cool looking. And the windows here give you the best view of space, and you can actually make out quite a bunch of planets or moons circulating around the big planet. So the plan here is to detach the lab from the main station. And again, Waits, his name is Waits, but this man cannot wait 15 seconds for Ripley to get out. And he shuts the door right in her face.
I'm sorry, Ripley.
She was right there. Anyway, the lab gets blasted into space. Everything is spinning around in the view outside. It's so cool. Look at all these fog effects. Look at the lights. Look at these yellow pulsating lights. Look how fucking good this looks. The red lighting, the green lighting, all sorts of lighting everywhere. How the hell did they make the lighting this good? Why is this better than any lighting in any game ever? It's incredible. So anyway, we have to go to this EVA chamber and we have to wait for it to decompress or whatever. So we just have to wait and avoid the alien by either hiding in a locker, hiding under the vents, which of course the alien can come in after us, so it's all pretty intense all around. We make a break for it, but the alien is very close behind, and we manage to shut it in there. The lights go red, and we put on the suit in breathtaking speed before we are blasted into space. And the way we look back and the lab is already like a mile away from us, and we're just hurtling towards the station. We just got shot out like a bullet from a railgun. The sound design does a good job of conveying the kind of whiplash as we get whipped around and just hit the station head on. Surprised we didn't just splat like a bug. Luckily, we land right next to a door that we are able to open. The sound design, the pure terror in Ripley's voice, it's all incredible as we open the door and land safely in the station. Then we got my favorite back and forth interaction here between Ripley and Waits. It kind of lives rent free in my head, not gonna lie.
Hello? Hello? Can anyone hear me?
Ripley, is that you?
Yes, Waits! Me, you son of a bitch! You locked me in! You blew the lab into space!
I had no choice. No choice at all. You saw that thing. You saw what it could do. I had to get it off the station. By any means necessary.
Yeah. Use me as bait. Leave me to die.
And it goddamn worked, Ripley. It goddamn worked. I got that thing. Jettisoned it into the gas giant. The station's safe.
There's that. And there's the fact that you're a heartless bastard. I'm heading back to the Bureau. We can discuss your methods there. Ripley out.
I don't know what it is about some of the line delivery in this game, but it's just really funny. We are all the way back at the space flight terminal. We get a shotgun, hell yeah, a survival horror staple that we can definitely mess things up with. Heading back to the Solomon's Galleria through this newly opened elevator, we have to take the long way around through the mall, and it can take quite a while. The pacing in the segment is pretty slow, evening out the really intense segment that we just experienced. This environment is pretty cool, such as this small area here where we have this little bar. It's a very cozy area. Really reminds me of Heaven's Night. But that's before we run into this situation here between some civilians, Seegson security, and some androids. As the androids are coming in, full stop, killing everybody in their path. And we're just trying to make our way through. We're trying to head back to the Marshal Bureau. Unfortunately, the door is locked, and we hear the androids just tearing everybody up, as well as killing Waits.
Bastards, you murdering bastards! Leave them alone! Stand down!
You're becoming hysterical.
You bastards!
Wait! Wait! Something's out there. I just saw.
We finally make our way all the way to the Marshal Bureau, where we just see everybody dead, and the only one left standing is Ricardo. How the hell did he even make it alive? I don't know, but I really like seeing Ripley having to calm him down and get his head straight as they figure out the next part of their plan, which is to head back to Seegson Synthetics to try and make contact with Samuel, since he went over there to try and gain access to Apollo, the main central AI of the station.
Something amiss. You really shouldn't be here. Safety.
So we headed back over to that area, and I have to say, it's very nice being able to run around the station willy-nilly without having to worry about the alien. We of course see this Easter egg here with the human with the magazine in his mouth. We traverse through an elevator shaft and end up at some android graveyard. It's very spooky here with the fog and these androids in these mannequin positions. It's very unsettling. We operate these maintenance stations with sometimes these androids coming to life and trying to get us. We make our way through and we get a little peek of Samuel, who handles business, and it's really cool to see his synthetic strength that he has. It's kind of weird that he doesn't notice Ripley in the vent, especially since she can shine her light through, but whatever. We get to the pinnacle of this whole mannequin bit, where we have these androids lined up in different positions. It's very freaky, and of course they come alive, and we are able to make our way through the door as it shuts behind us. Then we are met with the mother of all stockpiles. We just get a batch of every item that we can have, just really gearing ourselves up. This is a unique part of the game, as we know business is about to go down. We can activate a gas valve which shoots up some flame, which can help our endeavor. Coming back to the door, we are met with the fight of our lives, taking on all of the androids. It's actually really fun, but it also is a very tight area and showcases the clunky nature of the combat in this game. I wish there was a faster way to swap items and weapons, and I wish the aiming sensibilities were a little better, and just the movement system in general is pretty clunky. And the sensitivity in general kind of sucks. It's always either too slow or too fast. I really hope they improve upon all these elements in the sequel. After that encounter, I stumbled upon this glitched android. This is the one that Samuels destroyed when we were in the vents, so he's supposed to be kind of dead up against the wall. But here he's just kind of standing there. The light in his eyes are out. It's just very eerie. Anyways, we have another spooky segment here where we have these androids just lying down in their beds, probably undergoing internal maintenance or something. They're just kind of jolting around. It's pretty freaky. We can try to avoid them or, just run through like I did here. It was really fun on this playthrough, just getting to mess around with these different encounters. I've played this game so many times, and I remember my first time playing on Nightmare, just being really scared of it and having a really tough journey and stuff. But having played this game several times over on Nightmare, and just knowing all the optimal routes to go in to each encounter, it can get kind of boring, so I like to spice things up. Finally meeting up with Samuels, he's going to plug himself directly into the system to try and engage communication with Apollo. This is a pretty dangerous procedure. The system fights back and Ripley needs to activate the switches in the correct order, which is an interesting sequence, and this ends with Samuels taking too much damage and dying, but ultimately managing to communicate with Apollo, which allows Ripley to gain access and communicate with it. Even though we didn't get that much time with Samuels, this is still a bittersweet moment, and the performances from both actors sell this moment here.
You talk like I've had an actual life. Thank you for that.
Samuels.
I wanted Amanda Ripley to have closure.
So now we have access to the Apollo AI, so we take a transit car over to that area, but unfortunately, we have to give up our weapons.
I'll bet.
Look at this area, dude. This is so good looking. The reflections on the ground, the blue and orange coloring. This game is so impressive. This game came out like 11 years ago. Why the hell does it look this good? We get little sneak peeks of the server areas. We have a very interesting encounter here where we have circular level design with two different ways to go, ultimately trying to make our way to the other side of the area. Both sides have their own server room with a set of 2 androids, having 4 in total, but the androids can loop around to the other sides as well. Each of the server rooms has its own unique countermeasure that can just obliterate the androids, but it's very tough to pull off. Otherwise, you can't harm them in any way. Their voices are very deep and disturbing. Luckily, they're very slow compared to the regular working Joes. After we activate the main little thing at the back, we then circle around to try and find a vent that leads to the central AI. After doing some puzzles, we finally activate the system, which allows us to gain entry. And this is again one of those moments where the music actually swells up and takes center stage. And it's cool to listen to. This is an awesome moment where we're able to access the AI, and of course this is very similar to the original film and how they communicate with Mother, the Nostromo's AI. Very similar here, it is also revealed that Sevastopol was purchased by Weyland-Yutani shortly after Ripley and the crew left, and they were after possession of the alien creature. All other considerations are secondary. Ripley tries to tell the AI that the creature is not on the station anymore, But then it brings up some weird ongoings in the reactor area, so now Ripley has to go and check that out. This takes us through the engineering level. Again, this is another distinct segment of the station. Very dark, moody, industrial vibe going on here with a lot of machinery around and stuff that we can operate in order to move around. We finally gain access to the bolt gun. This thing packs a punch. Eventually we get the rest of our weapons as well and come across the main reactor, which is an insanely cool little area. It's not little at all actually, it's humongous. Kind of just floating over this dark void. Again, how do you describe the feeling that this gives? The cool charging lights, the electrical strikes. There's quite the amount of androids down there, and we have to navigate through them and just make it to the other side. Also the rain kind of coming down, the moisture falling down, very reminiscent of the original Alien. In that one room where Brett got killed, we just head around and trying to fix what's wrong with the reactor. And the elevator opens to reveal a whole fucking alien nest. This whole environment is covered with, I don't even know what this stuff is that must just secrete out of these aliens for them to create it. This is a really cool visual design though, because you can just barely make out that this was just a normal looking part of the station. But all the alien gunk is mixed into it. It's really cool. The sound design here is also insane. There is some kind of whale noise or something, human screams in the walls, and you can hear multiple aliens moving around screaming. It's all hellish.
This isn't good.
We get our first encounter with some face huggers which come out of these eggs. You can actually crush these guys with just your wrench, but they actually do acid damage, which is a pretty cool detail. Also, if you stick your head right over the egg, like in the movies, it'll instantly grab onto your face. Anyways, we do these mechanisms to try and prime the reactor for a purge to get rid of all of this. Just having two aliens wandering around is really frightening, and these are some tight corridors. Barely anywhere to hide, so just having two aliens makes things so high stakes. We got face huggers running around, you can't tell where they're coming from, it's insane. Finally activating the system, we get the hell out of there, and now we just gotta run around the reactor doing these puzzles. It's better to get rid of these working Joes. You can loop them around as you do puzzles, but it's very intense and it makes the puzzles so high stress, but yeah, you can do that. There's multiple ways to do any given encounter, and for this run I decided to just go all out and kill them all, which was very liberating, especially this being on nightmare difficulty. We set the purge off, which sets off this wave of electricity smashing down, getting rid of the nest. Unfortunately, a whole bunch of aliens get loose, and this is not very good. Although we did manage to get rid of most of them, I would think. It's kind of insane given how many there were down there, that we've only ever encountered one alien this whole time.
Wait, Rip, something weird's happening.
You think?
I need you to get to medical, now. The reactor purge. It's resetting systems across Sevastopol. Lights, transit, maybe even communications. I think this is our big chance. Just go, now! We might not have much time. I'm heading down to comms.
It's fun to go back through the medical area and see how the place has changed since we were here last. We get into the shuttle ambulance and head to the Anisadora. It's cool getting to explore this other ship because the Torrens at the beginning was very much based on the Nostromo, but here we get a different kind of ship. I love seeing the differences here with the cryo chambers and how differently that's all laid out. Marlowe is here on the ship, and that's how we were even able to find the Anesidora in the first place, because he went and came over here along with Taylor. I don't even know why exactly he took her. I guess she's a representative of the company that so desperately wants the alien at any cost, which Marlowe despises.
You don't beat this thing, Ripley. You can't. All you can do is refuse to engage. You gotta wipe out every trace, destroy any clue, stop its infection from spreading. Make sure there's no chance of the human race ever making contact with it again. Because the moment it makes contact, it's won. The company's never gonna know what happened here. Nobody is. I won't allow it.
He's planning to blow up the Anesidora along with the entire station to get rid of the alien, along with any trace of it in order to stop it from spreading and killing all of humanity. A reasonable goal, I might say. He has a lot of reason here, even though he's going to kill everybody on the station. This is a rare bit of actual complexity thrown into the game's narrative here with this character. I do wish that all of these characters got way more depth to them. It is pretty tragic what happened to his whole crew, especially his wife, Foster, who is the one who got burst by the alien. Coming to the generator room, we actually find a remnant of the flight recorder, in which we actually get to hear an extra message that Ellen Ripley was able to record after her initial monologue.
This is for my daughter. Hi, Amanda.
And it's actually pretty emotional here, as we got Sigourney Weaver doing an incredible performance, great line delivery throughout, and again, she sounds the exact same.
I got into trouble. My ship... There was an accident, sweetheart, and
you can tell there's conflict in her voice during the send-off, as she knows internally that there is a very small chance that she'll really get picked up, and as we know from Aliens, they would never see each other again.
I'm okay. I'm stuck on this lifeboat, long way out. But we had to destroy the ship. We had to destroy the Nostromo. We just couldn't risk bringing that thing home with us. I needed to protect you. Don't worry. Don't worry about me. I'm sure I'll see you very soon. I love you, sweetheart.
My God. After that devastating message, Marlowe comes out of the woodwork with Taylor at gunpoint. And I really like this point that Marlowe makes here about Ripley's mother, who he says would do the exact same thing that he's doing, which I do believe to an extent. As we know from the first 3 Alien films, Ripley would do anything possible to get rid of the alien. But at the same time, I do think she would try and save everyone she could, and wouldn't put civilians in harm's way. Taylor is able to knock out Marlowe, but unfortunately he set off the reactor, and while Amanda tries to turn it off, it still goes off and kills Taylor. We get this crazy running sequence where the entire ship is blowing up. It's pretty cinematic, and we make our way back to the ambulance shuttle and head back to the station. This explosion causes things to go haywire, because everything is now falling apart at the seams. Our only chance is to contact the Torrens. We have this insanely difficult kind of hallway packed full with Seeks and security. One fun little thing I do like here is to open this panel and release this Ultra Android and let him just kill the security guys. It's very hard to even know that this android is here, as you have to be looking through an opening while you're crawling through the vents. And you see him just standing there. It's pretty disturbing. The heck is he doing in there anyway? Ricardo tells us to go up to the comms area, and we're gonna have to do a spacewalk out and line up the array in order to contact the Torrens. There are some humans here, and they're pretty easy to ignore. But again, Amanda has gone fully insane, just willing to kill everyone and anything in her path, even if they're not actually in her path. And even if the alien will kill them in the next 15 minutes, she's just too far gone. We then get this insanely atmospheric section here as we walk outside of the station. This is really cool. It does last a bit too long because the walking speed is insanely slow, but I think it all works out in the end, and to really make this as immersive as possible. The sound design is incredible here, just hearing the debris knocking against your suit. It's just really breathtaking, and just seeing the huge scope of not only the planet, but this giant station that you've been going around in this whole time. We get the array up and going, allowing us to contact the Torrens, and we deduce our best course of action is to extend the tow umbilical platform in order for us to board onto the ship. Going back, we see that the alien has come in, and he makes an epic superhero landing, which is insanely cool. We lose contact with Ricardo, and then on the way back, this happens.
Ricardo? Oh God. Ricardo. Oh no.
It is really a truly disturbing visual to just see someone with this thing attached to their face, and him being just in the exact same position as when we last saw him. So now we're gonna have to go back through that hallway again, and the alien is after us this time. We go down this elevator, and there's a Seegson security guy right here, and this is always a tough gamble here. This is one of the hardest parts of the game here, because either you want to navigate through this segment working around the security guy, or just have the alien come in and deal with him. If you decide to go up against the security guy, there's not really a whole lot you can do to hold his attention other than to throw some flares, I guess. I guess I could have just done that, huh? Even just whacking him with the wrench will attract the alien's attention. I think the alien just comes down anyways eventually, so I don't know. Anyways, I was able to use the flares to hold off the alien for as long as possible. Then this facehugger comes in after you open the door. And it's tough because no matter how you kill this thing, it's gonna make some noise and attract the alien. So I just shot it and got into the elevator to reset the room. And even though the alien is still here, if I hadn't done that, it probably would have killed me. We get into a transit car and end up at this open space with the alien just waiting there for us. This motherfucker is on our ass 24/7. So we'll just take this elevator down to the docking platform and get to work, right? No, because of course the fucking elevator breaks and we have to go the long way around. This is where things get batshit insanely intense. It does not stop at all for the entire rest of the game. Things are on fire here, and then the alien comes in. It's very scripted now in terms of its appearances. It just drops in, and it's all very close quarters here. You really just gotta wait for it to leave so that you can move along. And now we get the infamous corridor of death. We just have this long-ass corridor that we have to go back and forth through a couple of times in order to progress. There is no real cover here at all, so if the alien sees you, you're in trouble. There's only really one little hidey hole in between the areas that you can use to your advantage. I got really lucky this one time by being able to hold the alien in position by showing it the flamethrower. That's a good way of kind of stalling it, and I was able to turn the corner and hide just in time. And you just have to go back and forth and then back and forth. It really is intense. And then we get some fucking Outlast music or something. What is this? Getting out of this area through the vents, the alien still just follows after us.
Sevastopol, this is Diane Verlaine of the Torrens. I am attempting to dock on the tow platform below your spaceflight terminal. We can take survivors.
We're going down this elevator, and this brings us back all the way to the spaceflight terminal where we started the game. And we can now open this one door using the ion torch. This brings us to the umbilical platform. We perform some mechanisms here in order to get the Torrens in position, and once we do, the alien comes back. And it's not just one, it's two. Luckily, I was able to fend them off one at a time using my items. And this part isn't even that difficult, because all you have to do is make a beeline towards the EVA area to put on the suit. Now, I have a little bit of a theory here, and I know this has been theorized before, but I really believe it to be true, because you hear some kind of suffocating noises going on here. And then when we wake up, Amanda takes a big gasp of air. But there's nothing covering her face, right? So I think that was actually a face hugger. I mean, she's here on this wall right next to these eggs. There's literally no way a face hugger wouldn't have gone onto her face. From this point forward, the aliens do act strange around Ripley. Maybe it's because it's just all very scripted, but I don't know, it seems very intentional. We have to deal with a fuck ton of facehuggers coming after us, and the station is just done at this point. It can't be saved. Everything is falling apart. The desperation on display here is just insane.
Just let me make it through here.
We're just trying to get out. Amanda is just both the unluckiest person and the luckiest person ever. We see a really cool shot of these two aliens dropping down right in front of us. And just look at how many eggs there are. This is insane. This whole place has truly become infested. There's also a theory about a queen alien being on board the ship, and while I guess that's definitely a possibility, and maybe it was even confirmed by the developers or something, and a lot of people claim you can hear it, which I don't really believe. I think that's just generic ambience or something. For me, I'm a firm believer in the egomorphing process that was shown in the director's cut of the first Alien movie, where the aliens can turn people into eggs. So there could be a queen, there could not be, I don't know. To me, the egg-laying process that we get shown in Aliens and Alien Resurrection doesn't seem to line up with the sheer amount of eggs littered all throughout the station. So it could be a mix of both the queen and the egg morphing. Anyways, Ripley fucking dies. Oh wait, never mind. She's the luckiest person in the entire universe. There's this fun little part here with the transit cars that give us some good jump scares as well.
Jesus! Too close.
Ripley falls down and then uses the Force to stop this elevator from crushing her, revealing her to have Jedi powers. Or should I say Sith powers, after all that murdering spree she's been on. Perhaps it was those murders that unlocked this ability. We managed to return all the way back, put on the spacesuit again, and walk outside. This is a dense set piece here, as we are witnessing the station hurtling towards the planet, falling apart at the seams. We interact with this setup that is straight out of the first film, where Ripley initiates the Nostromo self-destruct. It's cool to see the aliens stalking us, and like I said, their behavior is now very different from what we've seen previously. Like, they know Ripley has an alien in her, so maybe they're trying to bring her back to the nest. We are able to detach the Torrens from the station in the nick of time as the station falls down. There's something so surreal about witnessing the station get destroyed in this way. This whole time we've just been going around there and it felt so grand scale. But now to see it super small compared to the planet puts things in perspective. It burns up and explodes into the planet, and then everything goes silent. as if the station never existed at all. All the pain and misery of everyone's struggle meaningless. In space, no one can hear you scream.
Verlaine, I'm on my way up to the bridge.
Back to the Torrens. Finally, that cozy music is playing. Time to meet up with our goat Verlaine. How the hell did this thing get on board? After some interesting QuickTime events, we blow it and ourselves out the airlock. Ripley drifts off into space alone. A light passes over her head. She winces. Cut to credits. I like it. If the story and characters had been more strong, then it would have warranted a more fleshed out ending, but I like the minimal nature here as it exits with a tragic tone, with the slight relief that we made it out of there alive, and that the nightmare is finally over. Reminds me a lot of Resident Evil 3's ending. So yeah, that was Alien Isolation, a relentless experience with some of the most intense encounters in all of video games. Of course, there is a lot of jankiness and wonkiness here with some of the encounters, especially with the humans. Movement and combat is fairly clunky, and the game doesn't feel properly built for the variety of gadgets that you get to use, along with the amount of resources you get, even just on hard difficulty. That, coupled with the minimal story and characters and some uninteresting objectives, stop this game from being a true masterpiece, but I don't even really consider all of those to be too negative, because it doesn't particularly bring my experience down, but they are still missed opportunities, with clear room for improvement in the sequel. Everything else about the game is an 11 out of 10, such as the visuals, audio, and overall atmosphere. The scare factor, the alien, the androids, the station itself, and the lore within. This is straight up the most immersive game ever made, that perfects the retro-futuristic aesthetic. And I'm so happy this exists as a huge Alien fan, and I'm very glad there's so much content here as there is, with the long stretched out campaign that offers a variety of locations and encounters, as well as the Alien movie DLCs that are short but extremely effective, and of course the Survivor mode that adds so much replayability with all the different characters, scenarios, bonuses, and whatnot. I do really get the urge to replay this game every so often, and it never gets old, as there's so much you can do to spice things up with each encounter. Dying over and over again is really not a problem because the intensity is genuinely so fun and exhilarating. The funness of the gameplay keeps it from being like one of the scariest games of all time, as I find something like Outlast way more draining, but still it's amazing just how intimidating they made the alien here, since its cool design and iconicness always kept it from being scary in the movies. But this game really puts you into the world, and I love it. And of course, the number one most important thing in a game for me is atmosphere and immersion. And in terms of that, this game is at the top of all of gaming. I'm so excited to see what a sequel will bring. I hope the story is more strong, and I hope Amanda returns. I would also like a more survival horror angle with more than just one alien that can also potentially be defeated. But they would need to balance it right, and it would need to be insanely hard to kill an alien. Maybe also change up the setting a bit to keep things fresh. The possibilities are incredibly exciting, and I'm so happy that Alien as a franchise is thriving right now with Romulus and its upcoming sequel, Alien Earth, and we've had a slew of Aliens games as well, but now is the time for us to get a new Alien game. That was Alien Isolation, a masterclass in atmosphere.
You look like you've been through the mill.